What's going on, everyone? I am your host, the Carolina Collector, and we are going to continue our series of videos concerning Kurt's Card Care. And I did an experiment on my channel, and I was ruthlessly attacked, as you would imagine, because you have these local card shop owners, con artists, and scammers who are only concerned about making profit. We've already seen the evidence of this with slabs being cracked open that were past tense PSA 9s. The signatures were rubbed and cleaned with his paste, resubmitted to PSA, and then miraculously got PSA 10s, which doesn't make sense because the ink on the signatures were faded. So if you already faded a signature, how are you still getting a PSA 10? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And I did an experiment on my channel where I exposed certain metallic items and what have you to Kurt's Card Care, and immediately I got attacked because reasons, because people are pissed off that this stuff is being called out for what it is. It helps people to cheat. When you are putting an artificial sheet of something onto a card, that is altering the card. You're trying to cheat. You're trying to bend the rules. You're trying to be a benefactor to this sort of thing because you want more money in your pocket, period. I have no problem with capitalism so long as it's being done in an honest manner. I have said this before and I'll say it again. My buddy just showed up here right now and he's probably going to listen to me nerd out. Say hi, mystery friend.
Hello.
There you go. So we're going to nerd out here a little bit. Now, and I got relentlessly attacked because I tested his stuff against various items, such as nuts, washers, screws, bolts, anything metallic, and we saw the results of that. It began to dry off and crumble into a dust. And of course, I was called a shill and a fraud because people do not want to accept the fact that this stuff can potentially chemically destroy your cards and also affect the very plastic in which they are contained. The previous video that I did to this one, which I do have this safety data sheet right here. I'm not going to go into my credentials again. You can go watch that previous video where you actually see my OSHA 30 card. You'll see my union card. You'll see my World Trade Center benefit cards because I'm OSHA 30 certified. I worked as a journeyman plumber for 13 years until the effects of 9/11 caught up with me. I was a volunteer on the site for the first 5 days after, and I am a living example of what happens when you are exposed to toxins. So I hope that establishes my credentials. You can go back and see those cards. I'm not going to do that here because I want to expedite this as quick as I can. So here is the safety data sheet, which Kurt, by law, was supposed to have most of this information on his products. Now, he does have a child safety warning. Let's just look at his paste here, for example. All right, he's got child safety warnings on the paste and on the spray. Okay, right there. There we go. But the ingredients list is not there. There are no warning labels of any kind. Here is shoe cleaner that I use at the last minute for my sneakers when it rains or my shoes get a little muddy. And what do you see? An ingredients list and warning labels and all that sort of thing. That is not present on here. Primarily and specifically, specific warning label, specific warnings where it says, okay, wash your hands, call this number, this is what you do immediately in this situation. Every chemical product that we have out in the market has those labels, and that is required by law because we're trying to prevent injury and or death. So I went through the safety data sheet with his spray, and I offered my opinions based on my experience. Again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm no expert. I'm only basing this off of my personal education. I am OSHA 30 certified. I did work in union construction. I did do a 5-year apprenticeship. I was at the World Trade Center, and I was exposed to toxins and chemicals, which unfortunately screwed me up and thousands of my brothers and sisters on that site. So I think my credentials are in order. Again, go back and you'll see those ID cards. But I went through what these ingredients are. You can pause the video right here and you can look up what these are. To me, rubbing alcohol of some type, of some percentage, but we don't, as far as strength is concerned, we don't know the strength. Is it 75% alcohol? Is it 90% alcohol? Are there 1 drop, 2 drops, 10 drops, half a bottle? We don't know. Trade secret. Chemicals. Then denatured ethanol, which we already discussed. And I have an addendum to this, as a matter of fact. Not only is this ingredient put into certain chemicals to create a bitter taste and or smell, it's also used in paint thinner. If you cross-reference ethanol denatured with paint thinner, you're going to see paint thinner and paint stripper pop up in your Google results. Look into that yourself. I challenge anyone out there to look into it. And the reason why, because if it was old gum on these cards or old adhesives or whatever have you, well, what do you think that ethanol and alcohol combination is going to do? It's going to eat away on that. In other words, it's a corrosive. So what could potentially happen to the ink and or paper when exposed to these chemicals? Now that we got that out of the way, we move on to the wax. Finally, we have an SDS for his polish. This is it right here. You could stop the video and read this yourself, but it is available on his website. In my opinion, it is in the proper, just like with that one, but we're going to primarily focus on the ingredients, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay? Pause the video, read this yourself. Take the time to do your own homework and your own research. So, hydro-treated light distillates. And then, of course, trade secret, non-hazardous ingredient, trade secret. But what I find interesting is the GHS classification. Basically, it gives you basically a warning of what the potential danger of using this is. ASP Tox 1, H3O4, which essentially means if you breathe this stuff in or you ingest it, it's going to make you sick, or it's going to screw your breathing up. That's a fact. And of course, it goes into, at least with this particular SDS, you do have Section 6 accidental release measures in case, this gives you an adverse reaction or what have you. But then you go into like Section 9, again, waxy polish, colorless, odorless, which I challenge because it does have a smell. It has an almond smell to it, a very faint and light almond smell. And I have some theories as to what I think is happening here. And again, you can look at Section 9 right there. There is a very distinct almond smell with this product. So I'm going to give you my thoughts, and we're going to wrap this all up in a nice, neat little bow as to what I think is going on here. So Kurt is no dummy, and I give him a lot of credit. When you actually look up his kit, everything in here is a kit bash of something. Now, when I was using this product, I bought gun tips because I used up the orange tips fairly easy. But he actually links you to a site on Amazon where you can buy replacements. You don't have to buy it directly from him. Just like these cotton swab things, whatever these are, right? Just like this felt buffer, just like your chamois cloth. All of this stuff here, we just have an ordinary black straw that you can get from just about any Walmart, what have you. But all of this stuff was sourced from other products and kit bashed. We already know, most likely, based on my observation, in my opinion, if he was able to kit bash all of this from other products, and I'm going to prove it right now. I'll be right back. Let me go in my apartment here quickly. And I'm going to prove to you that this was kit bashed from other products. Because I decided to go on Amazon, as he suggests, and guess what? I was able to buy not just one, but 2 bags of these foam tips, these foam swabs. So basically, this entire kit was kit bashed by him. And he indirectly admits that. So you can buy all these components on your own. All right. I mean, basically, this is a plastic container that you can buy any place online, I'm sure. Which now leads me to the conclusion, the sprays. Okay, if it's isopropyl alcohol, which you can buy in any pharmacy, any Walmart, anywhere, any place, anytime, and denatured ethanol, which essentially you can buy by itself at Lowe's right now in one of those tin cans, distilled water. I guarantee that if you were to sit down and have enough patience and you were to buy a little spray bottle, you can probably make this yourself based on over-the-counter products that he clearly directs his customers to buy more of these from Amazon. Just like with these makeup removers or whatever they're called, you can get these without having to go through him. So with that being said, and this is the evidence that I have to prove that, along with the denatured ethanol, you can get that right now at Lowe's or Home Depot. You can get isopropyl alcohol from any pharmacy. So what I think has happened here with this polish, and after reading those ingredients and cross-referencing a lot of searches on Google, I have to believe that this is Meguiar's car polish with Caranuba wax in it. Because yes, it does have a very, very faint smell to it. Now, I don't think he would be stupid enough to use anything that aggressive, but I believe as soon as you look up Caranuba wax, well, actually, the search that I did, forgive me here. Let me look at this here. Polish with, what is that? Polish with distillates. What was the term that he used here? That the safety data sheet. Hydro-treated light distillates, okay? And the unknown ingredient, which again I believe must be distilled water to cut the wax down so it makes it much lighter. I believe he premixes it with distilled water. Distilled water, I went into what distilled water is. You can look that up in the next video or watch my previous video. Excuse me. I'm trying to compact a lot of information into a nice, neat package for you. So excuse me for that. So look up what distilled water is. I explained it in my previous video. And if you look up polish with hydro-treated distillates, the first thing that pops up in that search is Meguiar's car wax. So what I think he does is that he takes the car wax and dilutes it so that this way it's not as strong, so that this way it's easy to apply. That's why as soon as you, like mine's been sitting there for a while, it's bone dry. If I were to take it right now and just give it a little bit of a mix, it reactivates almost immediately. So what I believe he's done here is mix distilled water with Meguiar's car polish that contains Caranuba wax, because that's exactly what it smells like. Originally I thought it might have been some sort of hand soap or dish soap, but clearly that to me is reconstituted Meguiar's car wax that has been that has been diluted with distilled water or reverse osmosis water. I mentioned those two terms in my previous video. I highly encourage you to go and watch those videos as to what those terms mean. But to me, this is reconstituted Caranuba wax. And again, there's that label, but there's no ingredients list. I wonder why. That is illegal. You must, especially with chemical compounds. Even my little sneaker cleaner here has an ingredients list. Made from natural soaps derived from coconut and other. At least it's got something on there to let you know at least what you know. It gives you an idea at least where you're at with that stuff. That nothing is hidden. Furniture polishes, floor cleaners, disinfectant sprays. I just shaved recently, so my aftershave has an ingredients list of some type and warning labels. All of that is by law, so that this way people don't get screwed over. That's why OSHA exists, to prevent injury and death. There is no way around this. Chemicals are being used. Again, I'm not trying to sell the man up a river. I'm not trying to misinform anyone. This information obviously is available on his website. I highly encourage you to do your own research. But if you ask me, based on the evidence at hand, all of this stuff that he sells is kit bashed from one source or another. He doesn't tell you, unfortunately, the percentages of what he uses and the strengths of the stuff what he uses, but because, in my opinion, and again, I have evidence to support my claim, at least one aspect of that, and that's these orange tips. See, I was using, after I ran out initially months and months and months ago of these tips, I was using gun tips from Walmart. But these are exactly the same. The only difference is the head's a little flatter and they're just a little bit shorter in stature. But otherwise, they're exactly the same. You can buy this stuff by the dozens if you want. I bought these on Black Friday. I think I paid like $5 for a bag of 50 or something like that, whatever it was. And I got 2 bags of these. Only because I have my less lethals and I got my pellet rifles in there that you have to clean out once in a while. And it's a little difficult to do the edging and getting the barrels clean on the less lethal pistols and the barrels that I got. So these come in handy. It's really the only reason why I bought them. But it's clear that he sources all of this from outside products and suppliers, and basically kit bashes everything and then throws this Kurt's Card Care label on it, claiming it to be his own. Whether or not he's violating somebody's copyright by doing that, I leave that up to you to decide. I'm not a legal expert or an analyst. I'm just saying that's what it seems to be like. With the only exception of this little tool that he made, which I still have with my original kit that I bought months ago. I'm sure that's completely original. But then again, I don't sit there dunking my cards and all of that stuff. I don't do it. I don't use the polish no more. I don't use the sprays anymore. I don't do any of that stuff because to me, it's dishonest. And now that we have the toxicology contained within here and the safety data sheet as to what the stuff can potentially do, would you want to put this on your really expensive high-end sports cards? You tell me. At the end of the day, we all have the ability to make critical decisions. I am not the arbiter of card collecting. I've only been in this for a few months, and I've turned it into something, really special. And I get to collect awesome cards, and need doubles, triples, quadruples, and multiples that I get. I sell to you guys at as cheap as I can. But I am not the end-all, be-all, final word of this. This is just based on knowledge and experience. I refer you to the previous video concerning this subject where I literally show my OSHA 30 and my union card and my 9/11 health cards. I am a victim of being exposed to toxins. Right now, I just took a whiff of that stuff. Right now, that stuff is circulating in my sinus cavity. Who knows? I might wake up poisoned tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But you must keep this in mind because this stuff was designed for a reason. Why do we have OSHA? To prevent death and injury. You have the ability to make critical decisions. You want to make decisions on your own and do your own stuff with your cards and your things, you go ahead and do that. You can do that. In this country, you can do just about anything, so long as it's appropriate. You know what I'm referring to out there. That thing, okay? Let's keep the subject on this stuff here. Make the right decisions, folks. The evidence is out. The facts are out. Science doesn't lie. You tell me, would you want this stuff on your cards? Again, I'm not bashing the man. I'm not trying to slander the man. I'm not trying to put the man down. He's probably one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. But given the facts contained within these 2 safety data sheets from OSHA, the evidence is clear that he is using chemicals with these products. The jury's out. I leave it up to you. Have a good night, folks.